friends from New York that should be watching, including the one that I played Celia with when she played Rosalind.
Oh, good.
I
Well,
think she's going to be watching.
That's fun.
Good.
I know. Is my Celia here? Let me see.
Oh, I have two Rosalinds maybe watching because I've done it twice. I think both of my Rosalinds might be watching, which would be fun.
Good. Welcome everybody to the As You Like It scene presentation, the workshop. My name is Nathan Agan. I am the host and producer of the Working Actor's Journey, which began as a podcast, and over 2020 we did some live stream readings, and then that morphed into these workshops. And so what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of context in case you're new to this format and what we're doing here. Over the course of the month, we would have a group of actors that could be a combination of newer or younger actors working with more experienced actors, a director, a dramaturge, and a voice coach on one scene over the months, meeting once a week. And so, as many of the artists can attest, that is an extreme luxury to be able to spend that much time on one piece of material. In most even professional productions, you're lucky if you get 3 or 4 weeks of rehearsal on the entire play, and very soon you're staging it and up on your feet and all that kind of stuff. And what many of the actors and artists love is being able to dive into this material. So that's what we have made these workshops the focus. That's what the focus is here. And what we've been doing. So it's been a lot of fun, and we had some other evenings this week. We did scenes from A Midsummer Night's Dream, Julius Caesar, and King John, and again concluding this week with As You Like It. So really thrilled that you could be here with us this evening. I'll mention just a couple other things and then we'll get right to it. We are planning to do more workshops and continuing to experiment and brainstorm what else we might be able to do, with this platform and this medium. So we'll definitely keep all of you apprised of that, and whether you want to be involved as an actor or artist, or as an attendee sitting in on the rehearsals, or just continuing to attend these scene presentations, that'd be great. We also started a coaching program where with many of the actors and artists you can see this evening and over the weeks, you can work directly with them on anything from auditions to acting in general, Shakespeare or singing, text. You can book a private session with those people. So we're really thrilled to be able to open that up and continue this opportunity for connecting those that are still developing their careers with those who have been working for some time. I will say that there is an opportunity for you to ask questions. And so as we go through this evening, you can put those in the Zoom chat and I will collect those. And then, once we've done the work on the scene, I'll bring those questions up. You're also welcome to share any feedback, and I'll be sure to, collect that and share that with everybody as we go. I will be sending out a replay link of tonight. So if you want to watch anything back, that'll be there. And one of the things we're excited about with these workshops is that, we can really explore gender blind, color blind, age blind casting. It doesn't matter, because again, the focus is the text. So if you've been present to some of the other nights, you've seen that in maybe more extreme ways in the other scenes. And so that's just something we're really enjoying. And in the other evenings, the registered actors would have the opportunity to work with text coaches and voice coaches, as I mentioned. So again, we're really thrilled. This evening, we have a professional group, an all professional group. So this was actually fun because there are so many wonderful artists out there. We talked about this and we thought, well, why don't we add a kind of bonus evening? And so we have these three lovely women here. I'll introduce them very quickly. So we have Elizabeth Swain is the director of this scene, and she's also going to be playing Duke Frederick. Aubrey Saverino is playing Rosalind, and Meaghan Boeing is playing Celia. And as I'm sure they will talk about, they all, I think, have some experience with this play in multiple incarnations. So they bring a lot of history to it, which is great. And I'm just thrilled that we could involve them in this month as well. So I think that's pretty much it for me. Again, tonight is kind of a continuation of what they've been doing. So you may see them discuss new things or new ideas or go back and rework things. That's what this is. It's just for you to be part of this process of seeing how do actors work on this material, what goes into perhaps the final performance that you see on stage or even screen. So that's it. I've introduced everybody. So I think that's it for me. Again, yeah, feel free to use the Zoom chat if you have any questions or feedback. With that all said, I will turn it over to Elizabeth Swain, and hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Nathan. And thank you all for being here. This is very exciting. 1599, that was a very interesting year for Mr. Shakespeare. The year before, they had taken down the Blackfriars Theatre and carried it across the river and put it up again in the South Bank as the Globe Theatre, and Shakespeare became a shareholder. He also wrote three marvelous plays that year. He began with Henry V, then he went to Julius Caesar, and then he went to As You Like It. And As You Like It provides the largest of women's roles, with its over 740 lines, I think it is. Hamlet has twice as many, but for a woman's role, this was a biggie. And she goes through this wonderful conversion in the forest where she discovers her true self. She has her cousin CELIA with her. The play is full of doubles. That's one double, the two women who are cousins and love each other very, very much. And in fact, if we could say that the theme of love is very important in this play, CELIA is the one that makes the great sacrifice early on in the play when she chooses to go away and leave her court and her security to be with her cousin and take this unknown step of going to the forest. So that is her first big act of love in this play. The other doubles are, we have two dukes, one good, one bad. We have two brothers, one good, one bad. And of course, there is conversion, so they don't remain that way. We have the daughters that I've mentioned. We have the two shepherd lovers in the forests, Silvius and Phoebe, who, by the way, speak in verse, whereas CELIA and Rosalind, most of the time, not all of the time, speak in prose, which is interesting. And then we have the rustics, Audrey and William, which are sort of highly comic. And then, of course, William doesn't get Audrey, Touchstone does. And his sort of pairing can be with Jaques as the sort of the cynical commentators. Then there is Corin, the old shepherd who knows a lot about life and sheep. I spoke to Gideon. Well, Gideon, I didn't speak. We did not have the luxury of Gideon, the dramaturg, in our rehearsals, but he did send me something he'd written about As You Like It, which of course was absolutely brilliant. And the thing he pointed out was that envy is one of the guiding principles in this play. It sets the play off at the beginning because Orlando is the good brother, and his brother hates him and keeps him from his inheritance because he's completely envious because the people like him. The Duke, Frederick, is also worried because he thinks the people like Rosalind more than his daughter Celia, which is why he banishes her. So you've got that going on, all this, there's a lot of this, so this envy thing, it sets things off in a very, very bad way. But the second, so everybody in the court is in trouble and they end up going to the Forest of Arden, for which you could read Eden, you could read Arcadia, wonderful things happen. There's also the whole idea of it being a pastoral, perhaps, with the characters that I've mentioned, and pastorals were very popular with Elizabethan audiences, although they were a little more political than we might realize. It wasn't just about the shepherds, they were making comments on contemporary Elizabethan life. So what else? There was something else I wanted to say about the two. No, I think not. It's very clear to us that it's sort of that the good things happen once they're in the forest. It's not that life is absolutely simple and easy and so on. It's not, but they learn about themselves in the forest. So we're going to do two scenes. The first one is just after Rosalind and Celia have witnessed this awful wrestling match where, absolutely miraculously enough, Orlando defeats Charles, the wrestler, the Duke's wrestler. And of course, it has been arranged that Charles will actually break Orlando's neck, not his little finger, in a scene earlier that Oliver has done. Well, so when he wins, it is the one time in the play when Rosalind is tongue-tied, but she does put this wonderful chain around his neck, which appears later, of course. And so that's it. She's fallen madly in love. And that's will sort of kick us into the first scene. And then the second scene is when they are now in the forest and they're having a fairly good time. And, they've met lots of fun people. And suddenly Celia finds this god-awful poem stuck to a tree. So we're not going to read the whole poem because it is pretty awful. She's going to read the end of it, which will kick us into the rest of the second scene. So I will disappear and take a breather and we can start the first scene. Oh, by the way, I think, shall we just breathe between the two scenes rather than take a real break and disappear?
That works.
Is that okay?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Why, cousin? Why, Rosalind? Cupid have mercy, not a word?
Not one to throw at a dog.
No, thy words are too precious to be cast away upon curs. Throw some of them at me. Come, lame me with reasons.
Then there were two cousins laid up, when the one should be lamed with reasons and the other mad without any.
But is all this for your father?
No, some of it is for my child's father. Oh, how full of briars is this working day world.
They are but burrs, cousin, thrown upon thee in holiday foolery. If we walk not in the trodden paths, our very petticoats will catch them.
I could shake them off my coat. These burrs are in my heart.
Hem them away.
I would try if I could cry hem and have him.
Come, come, wrestle with thy affections.
Oh, they take the part of a better wrestler than myself.
But turning these jests out of service, let us talk in good earnest. Is it possible on such a sudden you should fall into so strong a liking with old Sir Rowland's youngest son?
The Duke, my father, loved his father dearly.
Doth it therefore ensue you should love his son dearly? By this kind of chase I should hate him, for my father hated his father dearly, yet I hate not Orlando.
No, Faith, hate him not for my sake.
Why should I not? Doth he not deserve well?
Let me love him for that, and you do love him because I do. Look, here comes the Duke.
With his eyes full of anger.
Mistress, dispatch you with your safest haste and get you from our court.
Me, uncle.
You, cousin, within these 10 days, if that thou beest found so near our public court as 20 miles, thou diest for it.
I do beseech your grace, let me the knowledge of my fault bear with me. If with myself I hold intelligence, or have acquaintance with mine own desires, if that I do not dream, or be not frantic, as I do trust I am not, then, dear uncle, never so much as in a thought unborn did I offend your highness.
Thus do all traitors. If their purgation did consist in words, they are as innocent as grace itself. Let it suffice thee that I trust thee not.
Yet your mistrust cannot make me a traitor. Tell me whereon the likelihood depends.
Thou art thy father's daughter, there's enough.
So was I when your highness took his dukedom. So was I when your highness banished him. Treason is not inherited, my lord, or if we did derive it from our friends, what's that to me? My father was no traitor. Then, good my liege, mistake me not so much to think my poverty is treacherous.
Dear sovereign, hear me speak.
Aye, Celia, we stayed her for your sake, else had she with her father ranged along.
I did not then entreat to have her stay. It was your pleasure and your own remorse. I was too young that time to value her, but now I know her. If she be a traitor, why so am I. We still have slept together, rose at an instant, learned, played, ate together, and wheresoe'er we went like Juno's swans, still we went coupled and inseparable.
She is too subtle for thee, and her smoothness, her very silence and her patience speak to the people, and they pity her. Thou art a fool. She robs thee of thy name, and thou wilt show more bright and seem more virtuous when she is gone. Then open not thy lips. Firm and irrevocable is my doom, which I have passed upon her. She is banished.
Pronounce that sentence then on me, my liege. I cannot live out of her company.
You are a fool. You, niece, provide yourself. If you outstay the time, upon mine honor and in the greatness of my word, you die.
Oh, my poor Rosalind, whither wilt thou go? Wilt thou change fathers? I will give thee mine. I charge thee, be thou not more grieved than I.
I have more cause.
Thou hast not, cousin. Prithee, be cheerful. Knowest thou not the Duke has banished me, his daughter?
That he hath not.
No, hath not? Rosalind then lacks the love which teacheth thee that thou and I am one. Shall we be sundered? Shall we part, sweet girl? No, let my father seek another heir. Therefore devise with me how we may fly, whither to go and what to bear with us. And do not seek to take your change upon you, to bear your griefs yourself and leave me out. For by this heaven, now at our sorrows pale, say what thou canst, I'll go along with thee.
Why, whither shall we go?
To seek my uncle in the forest of Arden.
Alas, what danger will it be to us, maids as we are, to travel forth so far? Beauty provoketh thieves sooner than gold.
I'll put myself in poor and mean attire, and with a kind of umber smirch my face. The like do you. So shall we pass along and never stir assailants.
Were it not better, because that I am more than common tall, that I did suit me all points like a man? A gallant curtle axe upon my thigh, a boar spear in my hand, and in my heart lie there what hidden woman's fear there will. We'll have a swashing and a martial outside, as many other mannish cowards have that do outface it with their semblances.
What shall I call thee when thou art a man?
I'll have no worse a name than Jove's own page. Therefore, look, you call me Ganymede. But what will you be called?
Something that hath a reference to my state. No longer CELIA, but Aliena.
But, cousin, what if we essayed to steal the clownish fool out of your father's court? Would he not be a comfort to our travel?
He'll go along o'er the wide world with me. Leave me alone to woo him. Let's away, and get our jewels and our wealth together, devise the fittest time and safest way to hide us from pursuit that will be made after my flight. Now go we in content to liberty, not to banishment. Thus, Rosalind of many parts, by heavenly synod was devised, of many faces, eyes, and hearts, to have the touches dearest prized. Heaven would that she these gifts should have, and I to live and die her slave.
Oh, most gentle Jupiter, what tedious homily of love have you wearied your parishioners withal, and never cried, "Have patience, good people"?
Didst thou hear these verses?
Oh, yes, I heard them all, and more too, for some of them had in them more feet than the verses would bear.
Ah, that's no matter. The feet might bear the verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear without wondering how thy name should be hanged and carved on every tree?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look here, what I found on a palm tree. I was never so berhymed since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain that you once wore about his neck. Change you color?
I prithee who?
Oh, Lord, Lord, it is a hard matter for friends to meet, but mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now, with most petitionary vehemence, tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again wonderful, and after that, out of all hoping.
Good my complexion! Dost thou think, though I am comparisoned like a man, I have a doublet and hose in my disposition? 1 inch of delay more is a South Sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who it is, quickly, and speak apace. I would thou couldst stammer, that thou mightst pour this concealed man out of thy mouth as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, that I may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly.
Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he has but a little beard.
My God will send more, if the man be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard, if thou delay me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando that tripped up the wrestler's heels and your heart, both in an instant.
Nay, but the devil take mocking, speak, sad brow and true, maid.
Faith, cuz 'tis he.
Orlando.
Orlando.
Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Wherein went he? What makes he here? Did he ask for me? Where remains he? How parted he with thee? And when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word.
You must borrow me Gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for this mouth, any mouth of this age's size. To say aye and no to these particulars is more than to answer in a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day that he wrestled?
It is as easy to count atomies as to resolve the propositions of a lover.
Oh.
But take a taste of my finding him and relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
It may well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There lay he stretched along like a wounded knight.
Though it be pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Cry hollow to thy tongue, I prithee, it curvets unseasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Oh, ominous! He comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burden. Thou bringst me out of tune.
Do you not know I am a woman? When I think, I must speak. Sweet, say on.
You bring me out. Soft, comes he not here?
'Tis he. Slink by and note him.
Sorry, I think I lost my connection in the middle there. Everything froze for a few minutes. I was
If it was me or you or internet, you never know.
Yeah, there was a
Sorry.
little hiccup thing for a minute. So, great. How did you feel about that run?
It felt a little rusty on my part, but
Yeah, well, it's been a week, but yeah, I mean, some things
Yeah.
clicked, and as always, there's, I'm sure.
Yeah, that is the issue. When you haven't done it for a week, there are advantages and disadvantages to it.
Yeah, some things sink in and some things.
Because I felt that in the first bit about laming me with reasons, that section didn't have the joy that we've had in it. It was a little bit somber. So I'd love to do that bit again and just sort of, so because I think it's really important that that section shows the two of you at your giddiest, your happiest before the Duke comes in and messes it all up. So I'd love to do that section again just to get the joy back in. And I think in the second part of the first scene, I think again, what was lost a little bit in the week was the discoveries that you have no idea how you're going to get through this. And each idea has to come popping through your head, you know, like, well, I got to dress. And so the dressing is one thing, that smirching your face with umber is a different thing entirely. And then needing the guy is another thing. Everything is a discovery that you need rather than you knew that you were going to have them. And then we talked about it and you get it pretty much, but I think it could be a little bit more.
Yeah.
In this, the second bit was fun because we worked on that because you know, we only worked on this scene for 1 week, right? Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one we worked on for 2 weeks. So so I think it was the one that was a little rusty. I like, because I thought the second one went very well. A comparison. You said you did comparison again.
Oh gosh, comparison.
And Meaghan, the liquid on tune.
On tune.
You heard his.
I know. I was like, oh.
You knew
like some American theaters do it and some don't. And like,
yeah. I mean, I thought that one went really well. I don't really see, you know, of course one could always do it again. Let's do the first part before the Duke comes on. You don't need me coming in again, but do that first bit and see if you can just let the champagne fizzle and pop.
You got it. Great.
why, cousin, why, Rosalind, Cupid, have mercy, not a word?
Not one to throw at a dog.
No, thy words are too precious to be cast away upon curs. Throw some of them at me. Come, lame me with reasons.
Then there were two cousins laid up, when the one should be lamed with reasons and the other mad without any.
But is all this for your father?
No. Some of it is for my child's father. Oh, how full of briars is this working day world.
They are but burrs, cousin, thrown upon thee on holiday foolery. If we walk not in the trodden paths, our very petticoats will catch them.
I could shake them off my coat. These burrs are in my heart.
Hem them away.
I would try if I could cry hem and have him.
Come, wrestle with thy affections.
Oh, they take the part of a better wrestler than myself.
But turning these jests out of service, let us talk in good earnest. Is it possible on such a sudden that you should fall into so strong a liking with old Sir Rowland's youngest son?
The Duke, my father, loved his father dearly.
Doth it therefore ensue that you should love his son dearly? By this kind of chase I should hate him, for my father hated his father dearly. Yet I hate not Orlando.
No, Faith, hate him not for my sake.
Why should I not? Doth he not deserve well?
Let me love him for that, and you do love him because I do. Look, here comes the Duke.
With his eyes full of anger.
Okay, that was much more fun. Didn't you feel it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we needed. That was what we needed. Do you want to go on and do the next half again and see what happens? Because there's a very serious moment when he comes in, because we've been in prose and suddenly he bounces in verse. And so I think it's in the whole tone has to shift, which I hope it does. Yeah. Because I'm the one that has to say those words. And then you respond beautifully to it. All right, let's do it, because I think we should do the whole scene again. Okay, so go back to doth it therefore ensue? Say, the Duke, my father, loved his father dearly. Go from there.
The Duke, my father, loved his father dearly.
Doth it therefore ensue that you should love his son dearly? By this kind of chase I should hate him, for my father hated his father dearly. Yet I hate not Orlando.
No, Faith, hate him not for my sake.
Doth he not? Why should I not? Doth he not deserve well?
Let me love him for that, and you do love him because I do. Oh, look, here comes the Duke.
With his eyes full of anger.
Mistress, dispatch you with your safest haste and get you from our court.
Me, uncle.
You, cousin, within these 10 days, if that thou beest found so near our public court as 20 miles, thou diest for it.
I do beseech your grace, let me the knowledge of my fault bear with me. If with myself I hold intelligence or have acquaintance with mine own desires, if that I do not dream or be not frantic, as I do trust I am not, then, dear uncle, never so much as in thought unborn did I offend your highness.
Thus do all traitors. If their purgation did consist in words, they are as innocent as grace itself. Let it suffice thee that I trust thee not.
Yet your mistrust cannot make me a traitor. Tell me whereon the likelihood depends.
Thou art thy father's daughter, there's enough.
So was I when your highness took his dukedom. So was I when your highness banished him. Treason is not inherited, my lord, or if we did derive it from our friends, what's that to me? My father was no traitor. Then, good my liege, mistake me not so much to think my poverty is treacherous.
Dear sovereign, hear me speak.
Aye, CELIA, we stayed her for your sake, else had she with her father ranged along.
I did not then entreat to have her stay. It was your pleasure and your own remorse. I was too young that time to value her, but now I know her. If she be a traitor, why, so am I. We still have slept together, rose at an instant, learned, played, ate together, and wheresoe'er we went, like Juno's swans, still we went, coupled and inseparable.
She is too subtle for thee, and her smoothness, her very silence, and her patience speak to the people, and they pity her. Thou art a fool. She robs thee of thy name, and thou wilt show more bright and seem more virtuous when she is gone. Then open not thy lips. Firm and irrevocable is my doom, which I have passed upon her. She is banished.
Pronounce that sentence then on me, my liege. I cannot live out of her company.
You are a fool. You, niece, provide yourself. If you outstay the time upon mine honor and in the greatness of my word, you die.
Oh, my poor Rosalind, whither wilt thou go? Wilt thou change fathers? I will give thee mine. I charge thee, be not thou more grieved than I am.
I have more cause.
Thou hast not, cousin. Prithee, be cheerful. Knowest thou not the Duke hath banished me, his daughter?
That he hath not.
No, hath not? Rosalind lacks then the love which teacheth thee that thou and I am one. Shall we be sundered? Shall we part, sweet girl? No, let my father seek another heir. Therefore, devise with me how we may fly, whither to go, and what to bear with us. And do not seek to take your change upon you, to bear your griefs yourself, and leave me out. For by this heaven, now at our sorrows pale, say what thou canst, I'll go along with thee.
Why, whither shall we go?
To seek my uncle in the forest of Arden.
Alas, what danger will it be to us, maids as we are, to travel forth so far? Beauty provoketh thieves sooner than gold.
I'll put myself in poor and mean attire, and with a kind of umber smirch my face. The like do you. So shall we pass along, and never stir assailants.
Were it not better, because that I am more than common tall, that I did suit me all points like a man? A gallant curtle axe upon my thigh, a boar spear in my hand, and in my heart lie there what hidden woman's fear there will. We'll have a swashing and a martial outside, as many other mannish cowards have that do outface it with their semblances.
Well, what shall I call thee when thou art a man?
I'll have no worse a name than Jove's own page. Therefore, look, you call me Ganymede. But what will you be called?
Something that hath a reference to my state. No longer Celia, but Aliena.
But cousin, what if we essayed to steal the clownish fool out of your father's court? Wouldn't he not be a comfort to our travel?
He'll go along o'er the wide world with me. Leave me alone to woo him. Let's away and get our jewels and our wealth together, devise the fittest time and safest way to hide us from pursuit that will be made after my flight. Now go we in content to liberty and not to banishment.
Good. I think that was good. What did you feel it was different?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It felt more.
I mean, I don't have notes because I don't think there were things that were specific. I think it's, the tough thing about the scene is, when does it lighten up, or does it lighten up? Are the tears there through the whole thing? Which I think, if we were rehearsing the whole play and had all the scenes leading up to it, we would be able to address more seriously. But that's, I think, the question I still have about this section. So, all right. So, Nathan, you want to join us?
Sure. Yeah, I can come back.
Yeah, because I think we've done our rehearsing. I don't think I want to torture everybody.
Well, if the comments are any indication and the emojis flying around are any indication, I don't think it's any torture for anyone. Maybe the actors, but I'll leave that to them.
Anybody else.
Yeah, I will just share. Let's see, a couple of things that came in. Christine said, "Thank you. Really enjoyed the performances." And Peter, who some may have seen in Julius Caesar, I'm outing him a little bit. He said, "Thank you, ladies three. Extremely well done, well prepared, lots of fun, and crystal clear. Now get someone to produce the damn play and use all three of you. Brava tutti. Sorry, I can't stay. Another Zoom rehearsal lies before me. Love all three of you." So thank you, Peter,
dear, even if he is a Yankees fan.
Oh, all right. Okay. Shots are fired. Let's keep this civil. And Carly says, "So much fun. Great work, everyone." So yes, yeah, it has been really fun and enjoyable to watch. I'll just remind everyone, if people have questions, of the artists, feel free to use the Zoom chat, or if you're feeling brave enough, you want to just turn your mic on, you can ask a question that way, or feel free to join us on video. But I'll ask a couple questions. We actually, before we came on, we were talking, Elizabeth, you brought up the you thou conversation, and it goes to the point of, you could continue working on these two scenes for weeks and just kind of exploring everything. But would you mind sharing a little bit about what you discovered over the past week, and how that might continue to inform the scene where you guys to continue working on it?
Yeah, I mean, because the Duke comes in and he says, what does he say? "Mistress, dispatch you with your safest haste, get you from our court, you, cousin, within these 10 days, if thou beest found so near our public court as 20 miles, thou diest for it." And then he uses the thou to her through the whole scene until the end. And the you is more formal. And I think at the beginning he's coming in because I think he's been sort of pissed off looking at the girls with Orlando after the wrestling. And that I think that's what drives him to come in and sort of say, "I've got to get rid of that Rosalind because I don't like what's happening between her and my daughter. It's not looking good to me." So he's on a roll when he comes in, and it's formal. He's being the Duke. And then there's something where when she answers him, I think his respect, I mean, because what is the can be intimate, family, or it can be disrespect. And I think it goes to disrespect at that point with her. And that's where it is throughout the whole scene until at the end, when he is the formal pronouncement of "you die." I mean, he's now the Duke making that pronouncement again, as he was at the beginning. And he does it with his daughter too. He uses both, but for different reasons. When he does thee with his daughter, it's loving, and the you is keeping it a little distant. And I mean, the question is, does Shakespeare know exactly what he's doing all the time when he does this you thee thing? I tend to want to explore it and dig into it forever and ever, because I think you can always see possibilities. I think, because I mentioned before, the other big scene for me where this happens is Hotspur and Lady Percy, where the scene is, they switch back and forth, they both do. And when they're being the warrior who must leave and the warrior's wife who must let him leave, it's you. And every time they get back to being people who are sexy and in love with each other, they go to thee and that.
Oh, okay.
And so, I mean, that was to me, and that was a big that was my discovery scene, actually, for how it can work and be the bare bones of a scene. So, and that we didn't even look at in rehearsal. I suddenly hit me saying, oh my God, you didn't deal with that. You know, these things that you don't deal with because you're dealing with something else. And then suddenly you go, whoa, that's a biggie.
Well, you know, I think it's a great point to raise, and just to give people an insight to how much you can do. I mean, I don't know in any of the other scenes if it even came up. It's not to say people weren't thinking about it, but there's just so much to explore when you're looking at antithesis and operatives and shared lines and all these other, and not to mention intention and all this kind of stuff that you want to talk about. It's just like, oh, right, there's even more you can discuss about all this. So it just many layers to keep pulling back.
It's such a great way to know status too. Like in Liz was talking about the disrespect. It's also a higher status to a lower status person. And if she had said, you know, you're banished, expecting Rosalind to say, I'm sorry, okay, but she says, me, uncle, and then that can like trigger, like, no, I'm putting you in your place with this language.
Right. And
like, I'm the Duke.
Right.
I won.
And it's so helpful for actors, director to understand what these things can mean, because they can inform blocking, they can inform choices, as opposed to just kind of rolling over like, okay, you know, this is what I say, this is what you say, but just understanding. And of course, like in the moment, Meaghan, as you're talking about it, like what you hear as the character, you know, like you're used to a certain familiarity with your father, and then all of a sudden it becomes very formal, or you're hearing a lot of disrespect. It can really inform what you're doing, rather than just, you know, like, I'm confused. It's just like you're wounded too. So it's
right.
Yeah, it's
and
really.
CELIA comes back to her father very respectfully, saying, so was I when you, you know, as in like, I respect you, Dad, please listen to me, this is what I need.
Right. That's great. Let me just share a few more comments. We have Marcelo said, bravo, ladies, very clear, wonderful. Miranda shared, really enjoyable. Thank you all so much. And Howard said, their listening, emphasis on listening, across the Zoom platform was incredible and so crucial to these scenes. Did you guys work on that deliberately? Let's see, it looks like he's also asking or saying the uniform muted colors of their background really helped, like they were in the same room together.
Unplanned.
Yeah, maybe you guys could speak about that kind of, I guess, listening quality, and either specifically to Zoom or just in your general work on the scene.
Well, I didn't actually tell them to, because they're good enough to know that they should and to do it. So, and it is interesting. I mean, I didn't have much to do as an actor. So yeah, I mean, I never know whether I'm supposed to look at the picture or the camera. It's hard trying to figure this all out. How did you two feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I can settle in and listen, which obviously takes, you know, to distract the rest of the, you know, let the day go and focus on Meaghan and get in there and get in that headspace, it's just so much easier. The scene is so much easier, because then I just respond to Meaghan, as opposed to have to invent it from my own head. And then but getting there is a kind of a Zen place. So I think for that first scene, I felt like I was listening much better the second time, which is why for me, why the second time we went over that first scene felt
I
better.
think listening is
Mm.
the both the hardest part of acting in a lot of ways and also the most crucial. Like my boyfriend and I watch a lot of things, and it is so obvious when people aren't listening, and it just takes me right out. And so that's actually a goal of mine in general. And what's lovely about particularly the Rosalind CELIA stuff is they play off each other all the time, and you cannot come up with a punchline if you do not hear the setup. And so, like, there was one line where she says, "I would if I could cry hem and have him," and she says, "Oh, come, you wrestle with," you know. It's like, and the first time we did it, I started like right on top of it, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't heard her." So I think
Right.
that's something that we all. It's harder in Shakespeare because there's so much language to remember, and the focus is on the language, and oh, pick up your cues. But I think it dies if you're not listening. So that was like the nicest compliment.
Well, yeah, no, it was
Wow.
very clear, and I think you know, the other thing, while I know this platform presents a number of challenges, both for the performers and for audience, you know, it's certainly not the same as being in a theater. I think it's, you know, again, it puts the emphasis on the text, that to some degree you can even attend this pretending like it's a radio play, where if you just listen, it's going to come through, and you will hear the actors listening to each other based on how they're responding. You don't have to be watching their faces to hear it. And Gideon, the dramaturg that we've been working with, you know, he will say over and over, and he would tell a lot of the actors going into these evenings, you know, Shakespeare's audiences went to go hear a play. They didn't go to see a play. They went to go hear it. So again, that he's reinforcing that there is a lot of emphasis on the text and on telling the story, and not necessarily what it looks like and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's nice that material kind of lends itself to you know, maybe an imperfect visual. And I mean the platform overall. You all are perfect visuals, but the platform is it leaves something to be desired.
In a way, it's all you can do is listen. I
Right,
mean, on this
exactly.
platform, there's no sets, there's no costumes.
Right,
You know,
right.
you can even get to see your whole partner's body, you know.
Exactly. And you know, while I notice you know, some performers, I mean, I noticed the moment, Aubrey, you know, you're very comfortable looking into camera for a while. That's great, and as an audience member, that's great. But I mean, it's just one of those actor kind of technical things that you have to work to do, because it disconnects you from everyone you're playing with, because you're not looking at anyone else. You're looking into this, you know, object that isn't your scene partner. So I think that's really commendable that, you know, you guys are able to create such a relationship over this medium. Let me get back to one other comment here. Let's see. So Jim said, very nice. After the Duke, these characters are facing a big problem, a life and death decision. I'd like to see them brainstorm their solution, discover each part of their plan, earn each idea, see this planning bubble up so that at the end they're delighted with their solution. And I think, Elizabeth, that kind of went to what you were talking about, is like the discovery of this, so that, yeah, once they're left not knowing what they're going to do, that it becomes, and I think, you know, like many parts of this, you could continue exploring how much is it a discovery, and how much, you know, again, how much does it bubble up, as Jim was suggesting. One thing I wanted to ask, you know, Elizabeth, you mentioned, I think at the top, you know, your experience with the play, and I know Meaghan's had experience with the play. Aubrey, have you done the play before?
I've assistant directed. I'm going to direct it this summer, but no, I haven't been in it as an actor.
Oh, okay, okay, all
Self
right,
night
cool.
Several times, but no.
Okay. Well, I would be curious if we could start with Meaghan. You know, and because I know you've played Rosalind. I don't know if have you played
I play
CELIA?
Phoebe too.
Okay, so you've played Phoebe and Rosalind, and so what was it like coming to this part and these scenes now from a different perspective, and what did you learn? You know, it's always interesting to come at a scene now playing a different character, because maybe you hear the lines differently than when you did, you know, receiving them, you know, in the other production. So what was your journey like with this work?
Well, it's really fun because Aubrey's so different from me. So and I think I was more like the Rosalind in the, I played Phoebe in my very first professional production ever. And I
Mm,
love Phoebe. She's she's a marvelous character with a great journey. And Rosalind is top three roles ever for me. I just think she's an extraordinary person. Um, but it's really fun. I think one thing is that one of the gifts of this play is extraordinary female roles,
mhm.
and all of these women are marvelous. And Celia is I feel like she's so she's a little more like level-headed than Rosalind is, and
Mhm.
she can be kind of snarky, and get in, they make fun of each other and they have a good time, and but mostly for me it's a sense of, and I'm also older than I was when the last time I played
Sure.
Rosalind, so it's fun to come back as like a grown lady and play with it. And but really it's hearing words that are like deep in my bones coming out of somebody else's mouth in a way that is so different. That's
Right.
magic. I think that's one of the wonderful things about Shakespeare, is there's so much breadth in how you can be these people. Like they're such full human beings,
Mhm.
and yet you can still bring so much of yourself to it. So that was
Right.
really, really fun. I would
Uh,
I would do it with Aubrey in a heartbeat and do the whole play.
well,
But
yes.
I think
Well,
every production of this that I've seen has been different, and I love it. It's my favorite of the comedies.
well, as James Newcomb said at the beginning of the week, what he likes to say is, "This is the definitive production of As You Like It," because no time else will these actors, be together doing this. So it's definitive.
That's right.
But I know, as you said, you bring yourself to the character. Um, and so even playing Rosalind or Celia or Phoebe, you're bringing parts of yourself, to those parts each time you're playing them. Now, working on those three roles, do you feel like Meaghan, more closely identifies with any of the, I guess, written personality of those three? Is there one that
I
you
think
feel
I'm still
closest to?
probably a Rosalind at
Okay.
heart.
Yeah.
But I got a ton of Celia too. Less Phoebe. Is younger. I think I've
Okay.
gotten
Sure.
beyond Phoebe, although I still think that she's so much fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's a toss up. I like them
Okay.
both.
So
They both sort
you're a
of
combination of Rosalind and Celia.
split the
There's
difference.
nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Maybe a heart of one, head of the other, or something.
That's
Um,
right.
and Aubrey, since this was kind of new to you, obviously as a performer, though you had the directing experience, and obviously you're preparing to work on it again in that capacity. What was your journey with working on this stuff? What were there particular things that challenged you, or that you discovered working on this material, or anything like that you want to share?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say what a delight, and actually kind of a rare one, as someone who's done a lot of Shakespeare, to be in the room with just ladies and have a fantastic director and get like that. That just doesn't happen a lot
Sure.
in Shakespeare, in my experience. So that I felt like informed the room in a really lovely way. I think there is so much wordplay between the two of these ladies that it's to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb and realize, okay, maybe on the surface you see some, but when you start to dig, like they are word playing every line. There's a back and forth and a with each other, which makes it so delightful to work with Meaghan. I think the challenge of Rosalind is this like open-hearted, like madly in love in an instant, right? And also a brilliant mind and really smart and fearless and strong. I mean, the things that I'd say to the Duke when he comes in, and I say like, yeah, well, you banished my father, by the way. So, like standing up to him. There's just in these short scenes, in just a matter of a few pages, there's so many facets in there. And this was from working on it for, I mean, oh gosh, we did each scene twice or once,
Sure.
and I feel like there is a South Sea of discovery here, and we have just scratched the surface. So,
Right.
and that there's so much in the text that you could keep going back to the text and it will keep informing you. And yeah, I think that's just something I love about Shakespeare in general, and very, very true in this scene, in these two scenes.
Well, great. Well, I think it's a testament to all of you of how far along you are after such after so few rehearsals. Yeah, I think that was very evident by me and from I think all of you. Even after the first week, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, we can work at a little bit of an accelerated pace because all of you bring so much experience and history of working on these plays, and so I think that was really fun. I was never worried getting to this evening that it was like, well, they're going to be great, because they were great in week one, but it's been nice to see the evolution of the characters, like the relationship between Rosalind and Celia. I know all three of you discussed that a lot, and as you were talking about, Aubrey, that open-heartedness of Rosalind, of her really just kind of losing her mind when she's hearing about Orlando in the second scene, and of course that makes the comedy even better, because there's just this girl who's going crazy about all this stuff, and so yeah, no, it was just really fun. Liz, was there anything else that you wanted to share about how you approach these scenes, or what you were kind of looking for, or your approach in general working on this stuff?
Well, again, we worked on the text, and we talked about the relationships and the needs of the characters. And I mean, I think the real thing was when Frederick comes in and ruins their lives, so to speak, it is really life and death. They have no idea what they're going to face in the and I mean, so I think if we were going to work further, I would probably break down each moment, as that James suggested, that there is
Right.
that each item occurs to them. I'd want to do it very, very slowly, perhaps, and say, oh, we didn't think of that. And then there's this, and then there's that. I mean, and then I think because we talked about that even in the second scene, when we were working on that scene, that it's the seriousness of what is going on when she suddenly realizes that he is here in the forest and I can't show myself to him in this dressed as a man. And you can bounce through it and it's very funny. But once we got to the nitty gritty of the seriousness of this, I mean, I think Celia is loving the fact that that Rosalind's taking it so seriously.
Right.
And that was the balance, was that Celia's having fun and Rosalind is terrified. And that it started to get funnier the more terrified Rosalind got. So I think those are the things and I think you commented afterwards that we must not never forget the seriousness of comedy. Right. Because that's how it all, her situation is desperate.
Right.
So yeah, so those are the sorts of things. And I mean, it was the listening is always so important. Obviously, in any play there is, any actor must listen. But when you've got every line having a little gem in it that the next actor is going to have to pick up on and play with, you've got to make sure, because you miss a lot of them the first time through, then you go, oh, and there's that. And who won that round, because they're little competitions that they have between them. And it was finding those things, and there's always more to be found. So anyway, it's wonderful to work with people that are so good. I mean, because I've done Celia twice.
Oh, wow.
And Phoebe once. And Phoebe and Celia I played in the same production, which was pretty hysterical, because obviously we had to make a decision as to who you were in the final. Shall I tell my story?
Sure, go ahead.
Did you hear it when I told it in rehearsal? Yeah. No, I mean, it was way, way, way back. It was a school's tour, and I was Celia and I was Phoebe. And it is a costume design story, because the costume for Phoebe did up in the front and the costume for Celia in the back, or one way or the other. But it was a mistake to have a quick costume change, and there was something like 10 seconds for the change. They needed to work the same way. So this poor student who'd been given the job to be my dresser, she's back there, and I leap into Phoebe's costume, and Phoebe's costume had put some extra boobs in. So now I walk on stage with my own boobs, which have never been small, and the extra pair of boobs out the back, because she gave it to me the wrong way round. And I was getting laughs and laughs, and I didn't realize until I got off stage what the dickens was going on. So I think it's a costume design story more than anything.
Yes, yeah.
But it was that was my experience of playing both of those characters in one production.
That's great. You know, you mentioned the seriousness of the comedy, and you know, one of the, I think, almost silver linings of this platform is that even though you can't hear the audience reaction, you know, on these evenings, it almost forces the actor to stay honest, that you know you're not playing for laughs. You're not like, oh, I got a really big laugh on that last line, now I'll lean into it. You know, even in the rehearsal room and you know, doing regular theater, if there are other people watching the scene, you might get some laughs from them, and we're human, you can't help you know, that sometimes that seeps in. And so on this platform, it really does force you to just stay with the scene, and you're just with your scene partner and all that. So I think it almost kind of helps it helps things get deeper, because you're just forced to really stay with the moment, rather than playing for laughs or playing the comedy.
Yeah.
As I'm sure many people had this reaction as you were telling your story, Liz, Alexa says, "Oh my God, what a story!" So yes. Good. Well, I'll kind of give one more call for any questions from the audience, or feedback, or things like that. Of course, Meaghan, Aubrey, or Elizabeth, if there's anything else you want to share, you know, you're happy, you're welcome to, about this process or working on this. It's been wonderful watching you guys do all this stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan, and thank you for organizing this and giving us a place to work together in this crazy world.
Well,
Happy birthday, Nathan.
Oh, yes, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I still won't sing.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I just had to sneak it in.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you. Yes, who doesn't want to be organizing 4 Shakespeare scenes on the week of their birthday? But yes, no, it's been a pleasure. And well, yeah, I mean, you know, very quickly you realize, or at least I realized very quickly early last year, of like, wait a second, I know a lot of very talented people who probably have a lot of time on their hands right now, and are probably itching for something to do. And so, I mean, we did the first live stream reading, I think, just within a few weeks of the lockdown order.
Wow.
And well, as fun as that was, you know, one of the comments is, that's kind of crazy. I mean, it's even crazier than doing theater. So, you know, that's where these conversations came out of, and it's been wonderful to see that, you know, the actors, you know, all of you artists have responded to this format of being able to spend so much time on the text, because, you know, unless you know, went to grad school, and maybe only since you went to grad school did you have the kind of time to really pour over what is this, what are these, you know, 200 lines about, and what are we doing here, and all that kind of stuff. So no, it's, and Liz, to your comment earlier about working on a whole play, you know, doing the text work, really taking the time, it's I would love to see, you know, that there being kind of I'll use this word, renaissance, and that kind of appreciation and investment for theaters, you know, doing that kind of work, because it only enhances everything. You know, and everyone can be, everyone's job can be enhanced by that work, you know, from costumes to lights to sets, if everybody really knows what's going on. So, you know, I hope if this can play a small part in that, that'll be great. And now we've discovered all these online tools that, you know, we can connect and share this work a little more broadly. So, yeah, no, it's great. It's wonderful. So, well, I think we can kind of wrap it up here for the public part of this evening. So thank you again, all of you attending. If the As You Like It women could stay put, I will move some folks into the waiting room. You're welcome to drop off the call now. I'm seeing some more applause come in. People are really enjoying this. So thank you all very much. Yeah, I will be sure to stay in touch with all of the attendees and let you know of more ways that you can get involved or be part of this in the future. But that's great. So, all right, I will do I will have the task of trying to wrangle all these crickets of names as they jump around and putting them in the waiting room. So just give me a second with that.